the one thing that has always struck me as being so very special about the fellows is really that because there's a mutual process of selection going on at the beginning, we're finding this common set of characteristics of people who have a burning desire. They feel a personal responsibility for taking action about something that matters to them. Mainly that matters to them because they've had some very personal experience that is relevant to the issue they want to address. And it could be a parent or a child, or it could be them. They come from an incredible variety of backgrounds. And yet, because they have these intensely passionate feelings, and very often have been through a quite dramatic transition where they realized if they didn't do something about this, it was not going to get solved. And therefore they very carefully move towards this frightening point where they put their foot over the line and they say they're going to do something. And they then come into contact, with a bit of luck, with SSE, where they meet a lot of people with exactly the same sort of characteristics of anxiety, a feeling that they're unlike other people, that they're taking on something that they're not sure they can do, questions about legitimacy, about whether they are the right person to do it, where the hell they're going to take this thing, and so on. And they find that they are plugged into this cohort of people, which is why the cohorts are so important, who have very much the same motivation, have a huge variety of different experience behind them, are tentatively taking extremely risky steps, putting themselves on the line, very often depriving themselves of income in order to do what they believe in. And they bring with them this extraordinary understanding about the nature of the problem and what will work and what is really very unlikely to work. And so they're very persuasive advocates for the problem. And therefore they're good at networking on the whole. They're extraordinarily good at building sets of relationships. And they come to recognize how there's a certain sort of authenticity that you get in a group of people with common will that leads to intense trust. And that trust is one of the things that makes them so successful. They are forthright, honest, and they just will put themselves on the line to make sure something gets done.
Thank you. That's amazing.
Is that all right? Do you want any more on that?
No, I think we've got some amazing material there. That was super passionate and fabulous, Charlotte. Thank you. I loved it. I was there like, yes, she's so right. They're the best people in the world.
So I've said something actually about the beginnings of the community.
You've planted that seed perfectly, I thought, as well. I was like, noticed. Yeah, so if you just want to talk about why you think the
go on and then say what we might use that community for. Why? Yes.
Yeah, free reign for you there. So
okay. Start again then. So I was mentioning this sense of identity. I fit with this group, they are my clan, based on certain sorts of behavior that the fellows the students to begin with. And the mechanisms that we have in the program, the action learning sets, provide some sort of behavioral template of telling it as it is, being as non-judgmental as it is with one another, and providing absolute support for one another. And that means that people who are very nervous about taking the step that they know they need to take, they have this sense that there's a community behind them which will support them, even if it doesn't work out right. And so that community is already there whilst they're attending programs. But if you look back at all of the programs we've run and the massed numbers of people that have gone through and have this similarity to them, and then have built these extraordinarily effective businesses and services that may well go on for decades. And then they'll grow and they'll influence other people around them. And that creates an incredible resource of experience. It's hardly documented at all. That's the big opportunity that the fellowship presents. If we could manage to access and somehow categorize the range of really deep pieces of human experience that show what works and what doesn't work, and how you might begin to tackle regularly occurring social problems in a way that is far more in touch with and actually economically much more effective than doing it through government and so on and so forth. But what one really wants is a political and an economic climate within which this is being held, so that the money does become available to do these magic things. And then it needs, obviously, proper evaluation so that you can begin to regularly evaluate what the impact is that you're having. But it is a magical resource.